So I'd like to introduce Thomas, KN6MJB. And I've known Thomas for a little over a year now. We worked together on field day last year. I know you have an extensive background in medical.
Yes.
You are not a paramedic, or you are a
As
paramedic?
of right now, no. As of right now, no. I am functioning as an EMT basic at the moment.
Okay, but you're working on it.
No, I dropped it.
Oh. Okay, let me
Much paperwork.
see if I can find some better questions to ask you then. Anyway, I know you do food delivery as well, Uber?
I do DoorDash. Yeah, I do DoorDash. I do a lot of medical standbys. I'm a manager for a EMS company that does some of the largest music festivals in the world. One of them is EDC, Las Vegas. We have 300. I'll just hold it that way you don't have to stretch your arm out. We do about 350,000 people a night at that 3-day concert, so it basically just functions as a rolling MCI, which is a lot of fun. It makes field day look like a cakewalk. So yeah, I did patient transport most of my career with doing the standby stuff as a intermediate, and moved up here to Northern California to accept a job with AMR. I was an operations supervisor for them for about 4 years over in San Leandro. And after that, I decided that ambulances weren't my thing anymore, and now all I do is standby stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you. I also learned one more thing about you today. You worked at Disneyland. So we're not going to talk about that tonight, but in the future we'll talk about that. So Thomas is going to go ahead and talk to us about field ops safety. I've been calling it a lot of different things during the week, but now we finally have a name.
Now we have a title.
So thank you, sir. Mike Shears.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm going to try really hard not to yell into this microphone. I am a very loud person. At one point, my mom was told by a speech therapist that you should just let me talk, and she's regretted it ever since. So a couple of months ago, Graydon and I were talking at a radio direction finding event about getting ready for field day, just him and I, about what we're going to do for the safety part of field day, and he came up with this great idea about, hey, let's open it up to the group and kind of get everybody in the right mindset for safety for field day. And I took this and was like, yes, and made about a 3.5-hour slideshow. Then was told that I had 20 minutes. See a trend, you give a ham a projector and we just want to talk forever. So cut it down. Basically, we're just going to be talking about getting your head ready, your mindset for getting out there and doing safety. We're not going to cover too much about actual administrating first aid. If you want to do a first aid class sometime, I am super happy to hold that if the club wants to do it. Just understand that's going to be a long day of learning how to do this and practicing enough to where you're proficient with it. So without further ado, this is, if it clicks, haha, this is Thomas's overly easy but not too easy, only a little bit complicated guide to getting ready to leave the shack. I can't even say it that fast. But you guys get the point. Just trying, there's crickets in here. Anyways, so this is my getting us ready for field day. I learned a long time ago that it is very important to manage expectations. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Now you can hear me. Is that better? All right. Sorry. I learned a long time ago about managing expectations. So what we're going to talk about, things we're going to talk about today is getting ready for field ops in terms of safety. You've probably heard that like 6 times by now. I just keep saying it. What things we should be thinking about, talking about, what things we probably want to make sure that we grab, and yeah, or maybe, I don't know. All right, so what things we're not going to be talking about? Radios. What? How do we have a ham radio operation here, and we're going to talk about safety, and we're not going to talk about radios? I'll explain. Antennas. What? No reactions, you guys? There we go. See, I like that. Yeah, we're not going to really talk about antennas. The reason I don't want to talk about radios and I don't want to talk about antennas is there's about 1 million of them out there. Everybody has the one they want, and if you're hurt, Yes, they're going to help you call somebody in, but I want to get to the point where we are noticing the dangers and have ourselves prepared, that the radio is an afterthought and everybody gets their own way of doing it. All right? How to give first aid. Again, this is not a first aid lecture. This is getting yourself prepared. We will talk a little bit about first aid kits, and I am ready to hear the wrath when we get there of everybody's, you forgot this. I brought a handful of first aid kits that are, I use this for that kind of a thing. I have a couple up here that I'll show you guys. Afterwards, after we're all done, I'll hang out for a little while. If you guys want to go through, ask me questions, perfectly cool with that. All right? And then the last thing that we are probably not going to mention out loud. All right. So, got a reaction out of that one. Yes. All right. So, what are field operations or field ops in terms of what we're talking about today? I looked at this as a field operations is pretty much anytime you're leaving the house, right? You go into the donut shop, you're going to a soda activation, you're going camping. It's getting your head ready to leave. What stuff do you want to take? What safety stuff and everything, all right? So I actually went in, and one of the things that I really like about this club is we are super active in field operations. So I went into our Facebook and I took some pictures of our guy, or I took screenshots of pictures of our people doing some field operations. So you may notice a couple people in there. You may notice some way things are happening. You know, these are all just normal field operations that you could possibly be doing while you're out and running around. All right. So I like this one. This is a good picture, right? Not quite as good as this one. This one's a good picture too. But I know it's a little small, but dreaming of other field opportunities right there. Come on. Come on. There we go. That was just a funny one to throw in there. All right, so the first thing that we all need to think about when we are thinking about leaving is, where are we going? All right, how are we going to get there? The kind of things that you are going to take with you, your med kit you're going to set up, is going to be completely different based on where you're going and how you're going to get there. If you're backpacking, you're not going to take one of these giant kits back here. The kit that I would use for a major event is not the same kit that I would use for a Jeep outing or motorhoming or, you know, anything like that. So how are you getting there? How much room do you have? I have this example up here that everybody's going to laugh at a little bit. It's a plastic bag with gauze and some adhesive. This is my backpacking first aid kit. There's not much I can't do with what's here. Now, granted, I've got a lot of time on. I've done a lot of stuff. Some of you Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts out there are going to look at me and be like, you're crazy. But that works for me. So yeah. Where are we going? How are we getting there? Does anybody know we're going? Big events? Yeah, everybody in the family knows. If I'm going to disappear for field day for a couple of days, I'm pretty sure I'm going to tell my wife that I'm leaving. But if I'm going for a hike in the afternoon, I may not tell anybody. I may just jump in the car and go for a quick hike. Not such a great idea. A lot of times, just mentioning to somebody, hey, I'm deciding I'm going on this hike, or I'm going to this place. This is where I'm going. This is how long I'm planning on being gone for. Haha, it was the next one. All right? How long am I going to be gone for? Stuff like that will help. Something happens to you, you know, you're 20 minutes late, not a big deal. 2 hours late, that person that you were supposed to check in with that you said, hey, I'm going on this hike, they're going to start wondering what happened, right? They're going to start looking for you. That's one more step in line of people trying to figure out where you are to help you, right? If you got the radio, that's awesome. But having somebody on the outside that can call an authority and say, hey, Thomas was going on this hike. He was supposed to go at this time. He said he'd be back now. He's 3 hours late. Here's the map that he said, the trail he was going to use. You know, that helps a lot with people going out and looking for you. Unless you're not trying to be found, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. All right, do you have enough water? Answer, no. Never have enough water. A A lot of people overlook water. Don't. It's a big deal. We'll talk about it a little more later. But people like me, I drink a lot of energy drinks. I have to constantly remind myself that's not water. Coffee, not water. It has water in it, but it's not water. So make sure that you have appropriate amount of water for whatever it is you're doing. I like to leave a water bottle in the car for when I get back. That way I have some nice cold water when I get back there. All right. Do you have enough food? If you're just doing a 1 mile hike, walk around the block, you don't really need any food, but wherever you're going, you want to make sure that you have enough food with you, that you can get enough calories, all that fun stuff. All right. And then, come on. Do you have any medications you might need? This is a big one. A lot of us take medications on a daily basis, weekly basis. You want to make sure that you have what you need when you leave the house. One of the things that I always kind of recommend, take one of everything with you, keep it in a backpack, something like that, just in case. Now, again, if you're just going to the donut shop, you don't need to take a whole pharmacy full of medications to head out to the donut shop. If you're going camping for a couple of days, though, if you're going for 3 days, make sure you take at least 4 days worth of the medication. You never know what might happen. The other thing that I feel is really important is a med list, right? If you take medications that are vital to your survival, make a med list. Everything you take, how often you take it. You don't even need to really go far into what it's for. What that does is, for me as a first responder, if I get called out to help you, no matter what state you're in, I can find that list, because you better believe I'm going to find your wallet. I'm going to find your ID so I know who I'm dealing with, and I will find this list, and that will help me expedite potentially what's going on. If I know how long you've been out there, I have a good idea on how long it's been since you've taken your last medication, right? And that way, when I get you to the hospital, I can relay all that information to the medical team there, and they can catch you up and get you going, as opposed to working with a completely blank slate. All right, I know a lot of this is probably common sense stuff, but we don't have common sense. What's up? Oh, sorry. Question.
Apple phones have a built-in list that's available without having to go through a password. And you check that?
That is something that's pretty regularly checked, assuming that phone has battery or stuff like that. Yes, that is something that gets checked a lot. A lot of times when I've dealt with mostly motor vehicle accidents and stuff, the phone didn't survive the crash, or we can't find it. So having a med list that's close is something that's a lot easier. Yeah, if you're out hiking or something, the phone's an easy way to do it. I'm still a big fan of having a laminated piece of paper that has the list on it. Oh, see, there you go. He's got it right there. It's perfect. It's got everything he takes on it. And yep, I'd go through his wallet, find out what his name is, open that up and go, hey, this is everything that he takes. What do I need to do? All right. The only thing you can do to make that even easier for the first responders to find is put a red plus on it. Red plus is that universal eyeball catching. I know there's something medical on that. If you have a med kit in your backpack or something like that, put a red plus on the pocket that has that in it. That anybody walking by will go, hey, there's something in there and I can go for it to try to help out. All right. Weather. What's the weather going to be like where we're going? Is it going to be hot, cold, rainy? My wife helped me with the little character pictures, so I hope everybody likes them. She was sweet. It's fun. Weather's a big contributor, especially when it comes to the water and stuff that we're eating, stuff that we're drinking. I find it funny that a lot of times when it's really hot out, as humans, our first instinct is hot weather, take off clothes, right? I'm going to wear shorts. I'm going to wear a tank top. And yes, you're exposing your skin. Whoop. Oh, good. Didn't do anything. Press the button. Sorry. You're exposing your skin to the elements. It'll help cool you down, but it's also going to shed a lot of water from your system. One of the things I like to do when I know I'm going to be out in the sun, in the hot, is I actually have a fishing shirt. That's that like sports material. It's a long sleeve. It's got a hood that I can pull up. When the breeze blows, it blows right through it and keeps me out of the sun, but it also keeps me from overly sweating and getting rid of too much water. You can pick those things up at Walmart super cheap, or you can spend a lot of money online getting them. Doesn't matter, but think about what you're wearing. If you're going to be exposed to a lot of hot for a long time, maybe having longer pants that are thinner, but long pants might be the better idea than going with some tennis shorts and a tank top, because I know that's what everybody likes to wear here, right? No? Okay. Just me. Come on. I think I clicked too fast for this. There we go. So nope, still not talking about first aid yet. All right. Oh, sorry, I am going long on this. All right, so when should we start thinking about our trip? When does your trip start? The big thing I like to tell everybody is your trip should be starting the day before you actually go on the trip. Your body takes a long time to absorb nutrients, water, food, stuff like that. If you're waiting for the day of to start downing a whole bunch of water, it's going to go in one end and out the other really quickly. So make sure that you're drinking enough water, you're drinking enough food and everything, or eating enough food before you actually get out there and do it. Use this time to make sure that you have everything that you need for the trip. Make sure that everything is in good working order. When I say everything, I mean anything you're going to be taking on this trip that could be safety or in general, We all go out to play with our radios. We make sure the radios work. We make sure the batteries are charged, hopefully. You should be doing the same thing. Make sure your food's not expired. Anything in your first aid kit is still good to go. All right? So just that kind of stuff. All right? And snacks. Don't forget snacks. I don't know if any of you have ever had to deal with a hangry me. Just make sure you have the snacks. All right, so what might break on this trip that we're hypothetically going on and preparing ourselves for? You might break. All right? And that's what we care about. We care about you breaking. Now here's where we start kind of getting to setting up our first aid kit. All right? We maybe care about others breaking. You as individuals need to decide what your focus is on your first aid kit. Are you trying to get something together that is going to protect you? Or are you trying to be that Superman that's going to protect everybody you run across? Are you going to keep a med kit around for everybody that you might possibly have? It's up to you. I keep stuff for me and maybe a couple others if I run into somebody who might need it. I know people that they only care about themselves when they're out there because they're the ones that have to live with it. No judgment. Just that's a decision you have to make when you're coming up with your kit. All right. Now, first aid time. I don't know. Had to sneak Disney in there somehow. All right. I swear we are on the home stretch, people. All right. You said 20 minutes. I'm at 34 right now. All right. So we're going to talk about first aid. Again, it may not be exactly what you think about first aid. So the first thing that I think that every first aid kit, no matter what you're doing, where you're going, is going to have, is that is a really good thing to have in the first aid kit. But no, nothing that you don't know how to use. All right? This is where I start getting controversial. There's a lot of people that go out and buy a tourniquet because a tourniquet is amazing, amazing thing. All right? And it truly is. Almost every kit I have has a tourniquet in it. But if you've never used a tourniquet, it is my opinion, don't waste your time carrying it. Because the first time you go to use that thing, you're going to fumble. You're going to worry about, am I putting it on tight enough? Is it too tight? Which the answer is almost inevitably, no, it's never too tight. But am I putting it on too tight? Did I do this right? And what you think will be a couple of seconds may actually take 10, 15 minutes. And I've seen it. It's crazy. So use that opportunity or this controversial statement to practice If you have something that you want to take or you think is necessary for your med kit, take it out, play with it, practice with it. We used to do briefings for a couple of the concerts where the doctor would get up and he would start the whole briefing with, hey, we're going to learn how to put on a tourniquet. And he'd put the tourniquet on and he'd have a couple people check his pulse to make sure that the tourniquet was on correctly. And then he'd give a half-hour-long speech with the tourniquet on and then take it off afterwards. It used to be this thing about life over limb. Studies have shown that's not the case anymore. But again, if you don't know how to use some of these things and you haven't had extensive practice with it, you might be wasting your time trying to use it when you could be doing something else that you're more comfortable with and transporting or getting that person or yourself to where you need to go. I'm not saying that they're useless. I'm just saying please don't leave them in a little plastic shrink wrap. Pull them out, play with them, make sure you know how to use them. All right? The other two things that I think are vital are something to stop blood, could be a tourniquet, could be a Band-Aid, and something to clean a wound. There you go, whiskey. How you interpret those two things is completely up to you. Like I said, right here, I have gauze and some adhesive. That'll stop my bleeding. I broke my own rule and I don't have anything to clean a wound. But usually when I'm taking that, I'm only a day or so away from other medical help. So I'm not as worried about a big infection. And if I am, I'm getting other people to help me. Those are the simples. As long as you have those two things, you've got what I consider to be a first aid kit. All right, anything else after that is extra gravy. In fact, here's a list of things that I think would be beneficial to have in a first aid kit. But all of the stuff that's up here is just extra stuff. All it does is enhance it. Now, medications, when I put that in there, that's this little guy that I have. Got ibuprofen, I've got Benadryl, I've got Claritin because my wife doesn't do pollen very much. That's a first aid thing to her. She forgets her Claritin. I might as well be hangry. We're going to have that kind of weekend. So I make sure I take that with me whenever we go anywhere. But a tourniquet, again, if you know how to use it, great. Take it with you. Use it. Water, snacks, snake bite kit. In our area, snakes are a huge thing. But again, please know how to use it before you just take it up. Because in my experience, the chances of running across somebody else who knows how to use it may not actually happen. And all you're doing is giving yourself a false sense of security on this is how I use it. You know, I have it. I should be fine. To me, that's like taking a brand new HT out into the wilderness and turning it on for the first time once you broke your leg, right? You've never played with it before, and now you're trying to operate it. It's just not something that's easily done. It's not impossible, but not something that's easily done. All right? One last thing to think about, and we are almost done. All right? First aid kits, go bags, bug out kits, whatever you want to call them. I like to think of them as living things, right? They are constantly changing, constantly growing, right? As your knowledge and what you decide you need grows, you're going to add more stuff. You can start out with one of these Amazon $12 first aid kits and end up with an ambulance full of stuff if you decide that's what you eventually need. You shouldn't necessarily go out and just buy the ambulance because that's like $200,000. But you could get the big stuff, you know, get a big kit and decide down the road, hey, I've carried this with me and I've never used it. Why do I need it? I don't even know how to use this. Let's trim down. I'm sorry. Keep getting yelled at for the microphone. So yeah, that's my overall opinion. So if you don't know how to use it, don't take it with you. Understand that things are constantly changing and your kit should grow with you. And if you have any questions, I am very happy to answer them and take your punches of, you forgot this. Why didn't you say that? But that's all I got. Yes, Graydon.
So I loved your comment about the fact you never have enough water, and you never do have enough water. In a lot of cases, it's impossible to carry enough water. So I was just going to ask you about I invested in those purification straws that you can get like at Bass Pro Shop, and I carry them in the car, carry them in my kit. So what do you think about those purification kits that you get? Because you can find water, but you might not want to drink it directly.
So those, the Life Straw is like the main name brand. There's a tons of different versions of them. Those are amazing. The one caveat that I've ever found with those is the membrane that's in them does not like getting cold. So the moment that you use it for the first time and you expose it to water, if you're in cold enough temperatures for that to freeze, once it thaws out again, it's messed up the structural integrity and it won't actually filter anymore. You'll still get water flow through it. If they haven't been used yet, you haven't put water through, they're great. Put one in your car, leave it over just in case. A lot of times you can just screw it to a water bottle. The nice thing about that is then your water bottle becomes your dirty water and you just drink right out of it. Or they have ones that are a little bigger. You just put the straw in the stream and drink out of it. But there is some maintenance in them, learning how to back flush them, stuff like that. As a one-time use, I need water now. Anything's better than nothing. And they taste way better than those iodine pills, if any of you have ever used those. They're terrible. Any other questions? No, I sufficiently talked everybody to sleep. Yes. Oh, one more.
What's in the snake bite kick now? Do they still have that big razor blade in there so you can whack yourself with it?
If I'm being 100% honest, I have never actually opened or carried a snake bite kit. It's not anything that I've personally ever decided that was necessary for me. I'm probably showing my non-intelligence for doing that once I've lived up here, but growing up in Southern California by the beach, snake bite kit wasn't really anything that I was worried about. It was more getting pooped on by a seagull. So I've never actually opened a snake bite kit.